all in. We're all in. What's happening, people? Welcome back to the channel. Apologies on the lateness of this video. I know it's Friday, not Thursday. Did turn 28 last week and I had quite a bit of wine at the weekend, and I'm not gonna lie to you, it took me a while to get back to the land of the living. It seems like the hangovers get worse the older that I get. Since I did the video with the MK2 Focus RS, a lot of people said to me, they were like, look, you need to get yourself into a real Ford, get your hands on some sort of Cosworth. So that is exactly what I did. I had a little hunt round, and as usual with Ireland, there is always someone who's got something squirreled away, really cool, sat in the garage waiting to be driven by yours truly, Obbs. So the fella that lent me the car, he's actually a really nice guy, like fair play to him for lending me the car. He's also got a twin cam, and hopefully I'm gonna be doing a video on that super soon, because you can't come to Ireland and not do a video on a twin cam. The car itself might actually be coming up for sale, so if you are interested, get yourself in the comments. So I'm gonna head over and go get the car, and then we're gonna go out for a drive in this 90s cult classic. Okay, so for you guys at home who aren't aware and have been living under a rock for however many years you've been alive, the name Cosworth, where did Cosworth come from? Well, actually, it was two guys, and the company started in 1958, so it was Mike Costin and Keith Duckworth. So that's where you get the Cosworth name, Costin and Duckworth, Cosworth. And these guys are super cute, really. There's like a quote that I found, which is basically that they wanted to make a living out of messing around with racing engines. I mean, who doesn't really? That's a great way to live your life. And these guys went into F1, and actually in the end they ended up supplying engines for 55 teams and becoming the second most successful engine manufacturer after Ferrari. They had 176 wins in F1, which is serious. But when you think of Cosworth, I think a lot of us, we all think of the Sierra Sapphire, or we think of the Escort Cosworth or the RS 500. These were iconic cars back in the day. I mean, this car itself is a 1990, but you know, in the sort of 80s and 90s, the car to have was the Escort Cosworth. Now, they say you should never meet your heroes, and when I jumped into the Ford Focus RS, a lot of comments were coming in of people saying, you need to drive a real Ford, you need to get yourself into a Cosworth of some sort. So I went out and found the first one that I could, and it is this lovely little example that I'm driving right here, which is the Sierra Sapphire Cosworth RS. That's a lot of words, 4 words. And it is a 1990, it is the 2-wheel drive version, because I know that they made a 4-wheel drive version of this as well, but no, this is the 2-wheel drive version, so it is indeed for the masses. I can imagine being in my early 20s and seeing a car like this and being like, oh my goodness, that is the one to have. And since I've been driving around the roads here, I'm actually in Newmarket today because our quarantine has lifted, so we can now go anywhere within our county. So as soon as I could, I got myself down to Newmarket and picked this little baby up. I've been getting some looks, boys. Like, it's more the older generation. I pulled into the petrol station to put some fuel in it, and I must have had like 2 gentlemen of the older variety that were like, nice car. I was like, it's sick, isn't it? And then they figured out that I was English, and they were like, what are you doing here driving this? And it was a great little conversation. I wish I filmed it. The people around here are brilliant. But it definitely invokes the cheeky wink of a 20, or you know, the young 20-year-old in their mind's eye, because I heard a lot about how these cars back in the early 90s, late 80s, they were stolen and joyrided such a lot, which meant that a lot of these cars are not on the road today, which is such a shame. I mean, talking about my Nan's XR3i, this car does remind me of sketchy, but it's great because you know what you're doing. The gear is there for you. And yet, flying through some of these corners, oh, it's a delight to drive. When I think of cars from this era, they were special. Cars from this era were special because it was a time when you could buy something which was so close to what you were looking at on the TV screens in motorsport. You could buy something which was an homage to the greats, and you really felt like you were your very own, in your very own version of the rally car. And as I said, Cosworth were absolute brute force to contend with within the rally stages. I'm pretty sure the Sierra Cosworth was quite successful. I don't know all there is to know about its heritage, but I know that it was a very popular car. I think Ford did extremely well with these models. But as I said, that feeling of jumping into a car and the joy of driving, knowing that you are driving something which could be in some way close to what your driving heroes were taking out on the rally stages, really evokes a big smile on your face. Now this one has had that all-encompassing, lovely Irish addition as a blow-off valve put on it, which I can deal with. It cracks me up. It's very much an Irish thing, guys. You'll get used to it. But yeah, driving this car, you feel like you are just saluting people as well. Driving this car, you feel like you're a part of the action. And I think that's the beauty of it. But even though 30 years on, as a 28-year-old now woman, not a young girl, looking at these things, it's absolutely excellent. This particular version has a 2-litre 4-part engine in it, and at one point the top speed was 150 miles per hour and 0 to 60 in 6.1 seconds. Now I can imagine for the time that was fairly ruthless, but even now it's that type of car where it's a 5-speed manual, it's rear-wheel drive, you've got enough power but not enough to get yourself into so much trouble. You have just a lot of fun driving it. I am just enjoying myself far too much, I swear. I mean, feel that. It's still got some punt in her. The cows are not going to know what's going on. Now, I'm going to show you around this lovely example of the Ford Sierra Sapphire. White, as always. You know how I love my 90s white vehicles. I'm getting a little bit of a love affair for them now. I think I am going to have to end up with something white and 90s. So as I said, this is the 4-door version, which is kind of cool because when you think about it on the market back then, they wanted this to be the more practical version. So this is like your M3 with 4 doors, and when this came out it was extremely popular, and you can see why, because you have all the doors, you can fit more people in it, it's more practical, but at the same time it has that badge on it, which is the badge that you want. I would admit it's got quite an understated wing on the back of it in comparison to the Escort RS wing and the RS 500 wing, which is massive. This is a lot more pared back, which I think probably would have helped with its mass appeal as well. As I said, quite an understated car from the outside. I think you'd go past this and be like, oh, unless you knew what you were looking at, which is what I kind of love about it, because it's almost like the sleeper of its time. If this came up behind you, you'd be like, oh, no, cool, like a Sierra. The fact that it has that 2-litre Cosworth underneath the bonnet is what makes this thing so appealing for me. And as you can see here, it's got the sunroof and the interior. This is the thing that I really enjoy. It's even got the armrest in the back. Look at that. Pure comfort and style. Oh, these are all of the sort of 90s mod cons that I was talking about. Like, look at all the buttons and all of the little dials that you can sort of twist and play with. I'm terrible for getting into cars and starting to play with all of the dashboard stuff, because I like the sort of ergonomic feel of the 90s where everything has like a particular click or clunk to it. But yeah, got your little digital watch there. It's like a nice little baby G in the dash. 3-spoke steering wheel. Lovely, lovely. Almost looks like a Saab steering wheel in a way. Don't quote me on that, guys, if I get murdered for saying that. And yeah, it's got a really good handbrake in this car, which I could imagine if you were up for messing would be brilliant. But I am obviously not up for messing, kind of. The other thing that I love about this car is that it has that familiar sound of a Clifford alarm system. I remember back in the day. And that is why Clifford alarm systems were so great. Right, how do we... Right, if I press that... there we go. Well, guys, I have absolutely loved driving this car. It's taken me back to a different day and age, and I think that is one of the things that I'm so lucky to do with this job, that I get to drive different cars and sort of experience the different eras of the joy of driving. The joy of driving. Listen to me, I sound like some 90s tape. Ugh. Anyway, lads, I'll see you next time. Sorry this video is a little bit late. I have been sort of moving between Thursday and Friday for my upload times because, you know, life. Either Thursday or Friday, there'll always be a video there for you every week. So stay tuned, keep yourself safe, make sure you're doing all the lockdown stuff that you should be doing. I will see you again very soon, next week, same time-ish. Bye!